Every single night I watched you, and it was only the beginning. Something inside me stirred like an unspoken promise, building a tension I could feel in every breath. What you didn't know was I was always closer than you thought. Every glance, every touch, every breath, I watched you in silence. Little did you know what you felt as a fleeting moment, I felt as an eternity. It was just the beginning of something I couldn't let go of. You never knew, did you? Every single night, I was there, watching you. At first, it was curiosity, but as the days passed, it became something deeper, something undeniable. I watched you, but not in the way you might think. Every night, every moment, I was caught in the tension. You were unaware, but I was learning everything, and it was only the beginning. There was something about the way you moved, the way you laughed. Every night, I couldn't look away. Little did I know that was just the start of a journey that would change everything. I thought I could forget, but every single night, I found myself watching you. What I didn't realize was that it would ignite something I couldn't control, something I wasn't ready for. You never knew it, but every night I was watching. The silence between us was deafening. Little did you know that silence was the beginning of something unspoken, something neither of us could run from. What was it about you? Every night, my eyes were locked on you, caught in a dance you couldn't see. It was only the beginning, but it felt like an eternity. Every single night, I was drawn to you in a way I couldn't explain. It was as if something beyond the surface was calling me, pulling me closer, and then I realized it was only the beginning. I watched you every single night, caught in the stillness of the moment. It felt like a dream, like time itself had stopped. But the truth was, that was just the beginning. You thought it was nothing, just a fleeting glance. But every night, I watched you, and with every passing moment, I fell deeper into something I didn't understand. And the craziest part, it had only just begun. What you didn't see was me, always there, watching. Every night, I could feel the weight of it, the building pressure. I never imagined it would lead us here. And now it's only the beginning. I watched you every single night, but not in the way you imagined. Every breath, every sigh, I was there. It started as curiosity, but as the days stretched into nights, it became so much more. I stood in the shadows, watching you every single night. At first, I thought it was just a passing feeling, but as time went on, I realized something deeper was unfolding, something I couldn't escape. Each night, I watched you with a growing intensity, something between us stirring silently. You didn't know, but the truth was, It was only the beginning of what was about to unravel. I didn't know what it meant, but every night I found myself watching. Every small movement of yours sent waves through me. The deeper I went, the more it felt like the start of something dangerous. I stood in the silence, watching you, but it was never just about seeing you. Every night, I felt the tension build, and I realized it was only the beginning of something that would change everything. Every single night, I was there, my eyes never leaving you. At first, it was innocent, but then the pull grew stronger, and I understood this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. You never saw me, but I saw you. Every night, I watched, and it became more than just a passing thought. It became something that I couldn't ignore, and little did you know, it was only the beginning. Every single night, I watched you. It was as if the universe was pulling me closer. And the crazy part, I didn't realize that it was only the beginning of a journey I couldn't escape. I saw you, but you never saw me. Every night, I watched you, drawn to you in ways I didn't understand. But in the silence, something inside me knew this was just the beginning. I watched you from the shadows every single night. At first, I thought it was nothing, but with each passing day, I realized the truth. This was just the beginning of something far more intense. You had no idea, did you? Every night, I was there, watching you, feeling the pull grow stronger. Little did you know, it was only the beginning of a path we were both on. I thought it was harmless, a simple thing, but every single night I found myself watching. It became impossible to stop, and that feeling only deepened as time went on. It was just the beginning. There's something about the night, the stillness. Every night I watched you, unable to tear my gaze away. And the more I watched, the more I realized this was just the beginning of a story I wasn't ready for. I thought I could ignore it. Every night I watched, but I couldn't stop myself. I thought it was the end, but I couldn't have been more wrong. It was only the beginning. I was drawn to you every single night, even when I told myself I shouldn't be. And little did I know, that connection, that pull, was just the start of something I couldn't walk away from. Every night, I watched you, entranced by your every movement. It felt like fate, like the universe was aligning us for something. And it was only the beginning, something neither of us could see coming. I knew I shouldn't have, but every night I found myself watching you. It was innocent at first, but then it changed. something deep inside me shifted, and that was when I realized it was only the beginning. I thought I could walk away, but every single night you were there in my mind, in my heart. What started as nothing soon became everything, and I knew it was just the beginning. You never knew, but every night I was right there, watching you. Every moment seemed to stretch, and the more I watched, the more I felt it was only the beginning. You were always the center of my thoughts. Every night, I couldn't help but watch you, caught in a world that only existed between us. And I realized it wasn't the end, it was just the beginning. Every night, I stood in the shadows watching you. You didn't know, but something about you kept pulling me in. It was only the beginning of something much bigger than either of us could understand. The nights felt endless. I watched you every single night, and each time it felt like it was just the beginning of something deeper, something I couldn't turn away from. I thought it was just fascination, but every night I watched you with a growing intensity, and as the days passed, it became clear this wasn't just the beginning, it was something much more. I stood in the distance watching, but you never knew. Every night I found myself more and more captivated by you, and soon I realized it was only the beginning. Each night I found myself unable to look away. Every glance, every movement drew me deeper, and I realized that the feeling wasn't just an infatuation, it was the beginning of something I couldn't escape. You had no idea, but every night I was there, watching. It wasn't just about seeing you, it was about what you stirred inside me. And it was only the beginning of a story I couldn't walk away from. I watched you from the corner of my eye every single night. The silence between us grew louder, and I could feel something changing inside me. And deep down, I knew it was only the beginning. Every night, I watched you, captivated by the way you existed in the world. But it wasn't just admiration, it was something deeper, something undeniable, and it was just the beginning. I thought I could ignore it, but every night I found myself drawn to you. And the more I watched, the more I realized this was just the beginning of something I could never have predicted. Every glance I stole, every moment I spent watching you, it was all building to something. And soon I realized that what I thought was the end was just the beginning. You didn't know, but every night I was there, watching, waiting. It wasn't just curiosity, it was something more. And as time passed, I realized it was only the beginning. I watched you every single night, as though the world around us had disappeared. And slowly I understood this wasn't the end, it was only the beginning. Every single night, I found myself watching you, entranced. I thought it was a passing feeling, but the deeper I looked, the more I realized it was just the beginning of something much more. I was caught in a web of my own making, watching you every single night. And what I didn't realize then was that every moment was leading me to this, the beginning of something I couldn't escape. Every night I watched you, and each time it felt like the world was holding its breath. It wasn't just curiosity anymore. It was something far deeper, far more intense. And that's when I knew it was just the beginning. You never noticed me, but every night I was there, watching. And as I stood there, I realized something I couldn't ignore. It was only the beginning of a connection I couldn't explain. I thought I could hide it, but every single night I watched you, drawn in by something I didn't fully understand. And soon I realized it wasn't just the beginning, it was the start of everything. Each night I watched you, waiting for the moment when you would see me. But what I didn't know then was that I was being drawn into something much bigger than I could ever have imagined. It was only the beginning.